A brand new season of Black Ops 6 range play is here, and there are a few major updates that we need to talk about. The biggest being that 2 brand new weapons are being added to range play for 1 week only, and that crossplay between Xbox and PS5 only is being added this season to be able to avoid hackers in range play. There are also brand new range play rewards with multiplayer range play camos and calling cards for every rank, and the same for Warzone range play except with way better camos for some reason. And next we'll get into my top 3 class setups for Black Ops 6 range play. Since I'm recording this video early, I don't have access to the PPSH or the new AR yet, but stay tuned to this channel because the second that I have the meta loadouts for those 2 classes, I'll be uploading them here. And as we get into these top 3 class setups, my goal for this video is to be the one video you need to watch to be prepared for Season 2 of Black Ops 6 range play. So stay tuned for all my settings for both PC and PS5 after this. So the first class we're going to go over in my top 3 loadouts is actually the KSV. It's not a gun that I use terribly often, but if you've been killed by this gun, you know exactly how powerful it is. The class setup that we're working with is here. We're using the compensator strictly for vertical recoil control. You can rock the ported compensator if you want to, but I have a lot more success with the comp. For the barrel, we're going to use the long barrel. You can definitely notice the lack of bullet velocity on this gun. But that being said, even more than that, you can notice the lack of damage range on this gun. And the up close damage range is what you want to extend as far as possible. So long barrel or reinforced will be the way you want to go. For me personally, I do enjoy the long barrel more. For the underbarrel, we go with the Ranger foregrip for horizontal recoil control and sprinting movement speed. This is something super common with the submachine guns. You can rock the vertical foregrip if you have more trouble with the recoil, but I enjoy the Ranger. And up next for the rear grip, we're going to use the ergonomic grip. This is probably the most overpowered of all the rear grips and pretty much the only one that we see in use. And the reason why is because it helps with your slide to fire, dive to fire, and aim down sight speed. Just a really good, well-rounded rear grip. And that's essentially what we're going to use for every single class going forward, at least in that category. And the last attachment is going to be the stock. We're using the balance stock for help all across the board with strafing movement speed, regular movement speed, and then hip fire and aim walking movement speeds. This makes this gun a ton faster and is totally worth it. Your best bet for this class is going to be up close. So if you're like a bomb planter on Volt, AS&D or something like that, or you're going to be playing the hardpoint on like a Protocol P4 or something like that, this is a very, very good class to use. And if you hold your irons and shoot first, you're going to win the gunfight. Enough so that I legitimately left it on the top 3 list. That being said, that is the most situational of the top 3 classes. Up next, we're going to go with the Jackal. This is the blueprint that I use, the VMP Elite. A lot of people ask why my iron sights look like this. And the reason that it does that is because you use the VMP Elite blueprint that comes with like Prestige 8 or Prestige 9 or something like that. Then you have to make sure they use the long barrel on top of that. So the rest of the Jackal class is here. Very similar class to the KSV. And if you're watching this video wondering what to use for the PPSH, it will probably end up looking pretty similar to all of these classes. Actually, this class is exactly the same as what we use on the KSV. So if you're here looking to try the new class as well after the Season 2 releases, I would try with something along the lines of these for the PPSH, and then same thing with our AR class, trying to copy and paste that over to the new AR. I could be totally wrong, check back here later, but in the meantime, the rest of the Jackal class is the long barrel for damage range. I was on the reinforced wave for a while, but after losing too many gunfights at similar ranges to people with long barrel, I totally realized how important it is. Enough so that pros are actually thinking of getting rid of the barrels in the SMG and just playing without it. I don't think that they should, but in the meantime, just use the long barrel. For the underbarrel, same reason as before with the KSV, that Ranger foregrip for horizontal recoil control and the sprinting movement speed. For the rear grip, we're using that ergo grip, like I said earlier, standard across the board for all rear grips, and then the stock is the balance stock, same reason as before, just help with generalized mobility and making this gun way more well-rounded. You can chow much further gunfights with this class compared to the KSV. However, at extremely close ranges, it's not going to perform as well. Still probably the best class in the game right here, especially on the ranked play maps. And then our final class, class number 1, is going to be the Ames 85. A lot of people ask about my blueprint on this one. It's the Seaworthy Strength. I believe you get this from purchasing the code bundle, but I don't know if it's in the store anymore. Anyways, this is the Ames 85 that I use. Some people have messed around with taking off the underbarrel and instead using the recoil springs. For me, I really enjoy the vertical foregrip. Main reason I use this class is because Dasha uses this class and I trust him with the ARs way more than I trust me. But when we go through attachment by attachment, it ends up making sense. So the Kepler Microflex ends up being the best optic. A lot of people are on a bunch of different ones like the Merlin Reflex, the Acu Spot Reflex, and they just didn't work out the same as the Kepler. Like if you haven't gotten on the Kepler wave yet, I highly recommend you try it out. For the muzzle, we're doing the ported compensator, help with first shot recoil control and regular vertical recoil control. This paired with the vertical foregrip for horizontal recoil control essentially makes this gun just beam, which is all that you want to do with this gun. The reinforced barrel barrel is for help with bullet velocity and damage range. Now the damage range is really important, but so is the bullet velocity, especially because it extends your hit scan range. So you want help with both of those as you can. At one point in time, I was using the long barrel with the overpressured rounds. Might be worth a try, but for the time being, I really do enjoy this class. And then, like I said earlier, the ergonomic grip for help with all the movement stuff with sliding, diving, and ADS speed. So yeah, this is the AR class, similar to what we were talking about with the PBSH. The new AR, you'll probably want to try a class similar to this as well. But like I said, stay tuned to this channel as we'll update with the new SMG and AR loadouts. I'm gonna do that as fast as possible because we only have 1 week with those guns. So stay tuned for more. And with those 3 classes out of the way, we're first going to go over my settings on the PC. If y'all are on console, stay tuned and I'll go over those on PS5. We'll start with graphics and then we'll go to controller and then the console settings later. I rock full screen borderless, but you probably want to be on full screen exclusive for getting the most out of your PC. And then if we continue to scroll down here, just make sure that you have your right display adapter and your display gamma, your NVIDIA Reflex low latency. It depends on what your bottleneck is. My CPU is worse than my GPU, so I have this on plus boost. If yours is the opposite, just have it on. For the rest of the settings, I'll scroll down here. You want to make sure your custom frame limit is on unlimited. As I scroll through the rest of the settings, I have HDR off, and then the rest of the settings look like so. Here we're going to get into the quality where things become a little bit more important. I have my fidelity cast on and at 100% strength. Make sure your render resolution is at 100. For the rest of the settings, I have variable rate shading on with my VRAM scale target at 80. And these settings are super important, so make sure you follow them. The texture resolution is very low. Filter is normal, depth of field off, detail quality low, particle resolution very low, bullet impacts and persistent effects are off, shader quality is low, on-demand texture is minimal, and if I expand, those are the rest of the settings. For local texture, I turn that normal, shadow quality is very low, screen space is off, occlusion is off, screen space reflections are off, static reflection quality is low. Over here to tessellation, we have off, volumetric quality low, deferred physics off, weather grid off, water quality off. And that is it for the quality portion of the settings. Here, a little bit more subjective, we're gonna go over to view. For view, I have my FOV on 105 with a ADS field of view of affected and weapon field of view of wide. These are personal preference, but if you're playing multiplayer maps and want more aim assist or more consistent aim assist, you wanna be on 105 or like 107 or lower, something along those lines. Don't push that up too far for multiplayer. For the motion blurs, you wanna make sure you have those off, and then the camera movements have that at 50%. Before we get into the controller settings, I actually wanted to skip into the interface. A lot of people ask what my minimap settings are, and they are here. For the HUD presets, I actually go to magnified, make the minimap shape square, minimap rotation on, radar is on, my compass type is minimap, player names I have abbreviated, and the HUD bounds I have all the way towards the center of my screen as they can be. And for my crosshair, I have it on static. I do turn crosshair dot on with a center dot scale of larger and crosshair spread on. Crosshair color, the one that I use, is on the screen here, and there's no reason for that other than personal preference. So scroll down through the rest of the gameplay HUD settings here. I also wanted to go over to readability, color customization, scroll down here to filter 2, turn this on both with a world color intensity of 85. This makes your game a little bit more sharp. People also tend to ask how my screen looks a little bit more saturated. I do add OBS settings, but on top of that, I have this filter 2 in both setting here. Might make the game look a little bit better for you. Before we go to the controller and the console settings, we need to talk audio. Here's my master game volume I have at 100 with the dialogue and effects also at 100. The enhanced headphone mode I have on, but I don't turn on the personalized setting here. I just leave that on default. With headphone bass boost for the audio mix, mono audio, I have that off. I turn asymmetrical hearing compensation on, and then the frequency intensity, I'm gonna hit show more for the left channel, and I use these. Make sure you turn your volume down or take your headset off as you're adjusting these, because it does make a weird buzzing noise that only gets higher and higher the higher you go up with the channels. But I match my left and my right intensity, so if you just try that. I don't know how much this does. I saw it on a tweet and it seemed to help me hear more. So try those and let me know if they end up helping out. For reduced tinnitus sound, I have on, and then my hit marker preset is classic. Now to the controller and the movement settings, I have my horizontal and vertical sensitivity at 1.65. If you're on console and want to do this, you do have to plug in a keyboard and mouse to manually type it in, as it will only let you go up in increments of 0.1. So you have to type it in manually, 1.65. That essentially lines up to 7.7, but kind of just adjust that depending on what you prefer. For swapping L1 and R1, L2, R2, I have that on because I play claw. So I aim with L1 and then I shoot with my R1 with my middle finger. I'll scroll down through the rest of the settings. The dead zone input, you want to make sure your right stick min is as low as possible without getting stick drift. Same with your left stick min, and you want your left stick max to be around the range of 70 to 65 to 75 because it helps you reach your max strafing speed as fast as possible. Under the aiming, the important settings here is going to aiming advanced settings, turning aim response curve type on dynamic, and I don't mess with the slope scale. I just turned that on dynamic. You also want to have your sensitivity transition timing on instant, not gradual or after zoom. Instant ends up working out for the best. Motion sensor, some people go in here and turn off FOV sensitivity scaling. I don't think that impacts it that much, but I do it anyways. For movement, I have my sprint assist on with my delay of 1, and I keep on the sprint assist sideways and backwards as well. I pair this, if we scroll down here to movement advance, with single tap run. The reason that I'm doing that is because I just push forward on my left stick in order to sprint, and I only have to click my left stick once in order to tack sprint. So this works out to be the best thing for movement for me. Ground and mantle, I have that on off, and then the other automatic settings like corner slicing and mantle assist and crouch assist, I have those all on off. For my slide and dive behavior, I have this on hybrid, so I can hold down my left stick to dive and lift up on it to slide. And I'll scroll through the rest of my settings here. I don't think any of these are crazy important in the movement. I pretty much got the majority of them. And now that we're done with those, let's go over to console. Now on console, everything is super simple. Over here on graphics, I'm just going to leave the 120 hertz refresh rate on. For the gamma and brightness, it's all personal preference depending on your monitor, but mine's at 60. For the quality, make sure all your motion blur stuff is off and your fidelity cast is on. Adjust the strength as you see fit. I play at 4K, so I have mine a little bit lower so I can maintain higher frame rate. But if you play on a lower resolution, you can always turn that up to 100 and not have to worry about that. My on-demand texture streaming, I have this on minimal with the settings here. My view is the same as we were talking about before, with the reduction in camera movement as well as 105 and then wide for the weapon field of view. In my actual PlayStation settings, you want to make sure you go to system and HDMI and turn off the setting that says enable HDCP. Also in your saved data and game/app settings, go to your game presets and make sure that your performance mode or resolution mode is on performance mode. Also under accessibility and controllers, you'll want to go to haptic feedback, leave that on. So in accessories under controller, you'll want to scroll down to communication method, make sure that you choose use USB cable. Bluetooth is technically faster in terms of the polling rate, but USB is more consistent and will make it easier to aim. And to my knowledge, these are all the settings that you'll need to know on PlayStation. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, or if it helped at all, let me know with a like or a sub, and I'll catch you next time at lunchtime and in the new season. I'll see you guys later.